How's everyone doing today? This is a special edition of Chopping It Up Hardcore with Hal Capone. Today, my special guest is the honorable, esteemed guest, Dimitri Minakakis from the legendary band, the Dillinger Escape Plan. They have amazing news this year, 25-year anniversary of Calculating Infinity, slew of shows coming up. Super excited. I'm just glad that I get to talk to Dimitri again. I talked to him probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and Instagram blipped when I went to save it. So this is one of the two that got lost. Kathleen from Circle Takes a Square was the other one. And I'm just super appreciative and happy that he agreed to come back on and chop it up, chop some hardcore up with good old Hal. So I hope everybody's good. Missing the Celtics game. R.I.P. Eddie Leeway. Born to Expire is one of my favorite albums of all time. So that was like some crushing news that happened. But yeah, so hopefully Dimitri will jump on in a minute or two, but I hope everybody's good, and I hope everybody, thank you for watching and joining me again. It's been a while, but I got a few that are coming up here and there. Probably not going to do it as much as I did before, but it's fun getting back into it and chopping it up and talking to you guys, so I appreciate it. Let me see. All right, not yet. He'll be here in a second. So I got a couple other guests. There we go. Dimitri, I'm going to grab you in now. Hold on, I'll try it again. Oh, there we go. Dimitri,
What's up?
how you doing, man?
Super. How are you?
Good, good. Good to see you again.
Oh, definitely. Likewise.
Let me try to turn this up a little bit. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you again for doing this. I know this is take two for us, and
Are you
the other,
recording?
the
Are you recording this time?
yeah. Well, when I went to save it last time, Instagram kind of like did a blip, like it kind of flashed, and then I lost it and I couldn't get it back. So, regrettably, I've been regretting this the whole time because out of the 102 that I did, yours and Kathleen from Circle Takes a Square got lost because of the same type of thing. So, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me again. And it's been a while. It's been like a year and a half, 2 years since we talked last.
I
But
know, man. You look exactly the same.
you look more handsome than I've ever seen.
Oh,
So,
oh, stop. You look more handsome.
um,
You got me giggling.
perfect timing too, because the 25-year anniversary of Calculating Infinity is this year, and
Uh-huh.
the slew of shows that are happening with you reuniting with the band. That's something very exciting. How did that come about?
Uh, Secretly, I've been dreaming about that for 20 years. So dreams do come true, I guess. No, I was always hoping that, I could get some calculating time for myself, but I never really pushed it. But I think last summer, uh, Frank from Metal Injection had the Metal Injection Festival,
Hmm.
and he asked Ben if we could play like a calculating set for that, and Ben was like, I don't think so. And then um, just behind the scenes, like our manager was talking to Ben, and he's like, why don't you do it next year because it's the 25-year anniversary of the album release, September 1999.
Yes.
So um, then the light bulb went on, and then we just started talking about it, and of course I said yes. So uh, we were thinking, yeah, we'll do a show, and that show kind of spawned into a bunch of shows. But the the thing, we've never said we're only going to play one show, so we're happy to play bunch, but yeah, we're gonna make Brooklyn special. I know we added a lot of shows, but um, those Brooklyn shows are gonna be like the spotlight on the whole celebration thing of it.
Yeah,
It's not a tour. It's not a tour, but yeah.
yeah, definitely. So now what's lined up? There's two shows in Brooklyn. You have a Chicago show. You have in the California Fest. Like, what is that all, or is there other shows happening?
Um, we're playing the three Brooklyn shows. Chicago is in August, I think. We're playing. We added that big festival, the No Values Festival in Pomona. So that's going to be kind of insane. But and then we're going over to Europe to play a bunch of festivals, and we're doing one headlining show in um, the Netherlands, Tilburg, in the Netherlands. So
Nice,
that should be
nice.
good.
Yeah. Now, are you? I mean, obviously, you're super excited about this, but I
Yeah.
mean, are you chomping at the bit right now just because you're waiting and waiting, and it hasn't happened yet? I mean, you must be chomping at the bit to get out there and you know, put forth a crazy show.
Oh yeah. We're sorry I'm moving my camera. I'm trying to find a good place to put my phone, but I'm holding it up. But yeah, we're excited. We're like gearing up for it. So it's now that it's closer, yeah, it's exciting. So we're chomping at the bit for sure. So
Now that being said, is there going to be other shows? Like, could there possibly be? I'm going further ahead in the future, but do you think there would ever be like a new album that you guys work on with you back in the front? No,
mm-mm. not not
that's
not called the Dillinger Escape Plan.
not.
Yeah. So me and Ben have plans to um, do something. We have had plans in the past 10, 15 years to do something, but we want it to materialize pretty soon. So um, uh, yeah, it's not going to be called the Dillinger Escape Plan. That's that baby's getting put to bed.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it already did. So this isn't kind of like a resurrection of it. So these aren't reunion shows, even though it's being called that.
yeah,
I don't see it as a reunion. So, because a reunion, we would be like continuing.
yeah.
So,
Now, what do you think of all these bands that are kind of doing the same type of thing? Like Coalesce now announced some new shows.
yeah.
Drowning Man came back for a little while, and then they stopped doing their thing. But I mean, it seems like Botch did that run. What do you think? You think that's like we're seeing that a lot in the past few years, and I think it's like really great seeing it. And like I said, Botch sounded just amazing
Mhm.
all these years later, and I'm sure Coalesce will sound just like incredible too. What do you think of like why this is happening, and what do you think of that?
I don't know. I just maybe think it's like a domino effect where maybe our like contemporaries see each other doing it. There's always like the what if kind of element of it, like like what if we played again, or what if this. Our opportunity is we're under the veil of like it's 25 years since we released our first full album.
Mm,
So um, I think a lot of bands that are like like not colleagues, but just our contemporaries,
mm,
it's always in them. Like you did it before, and like you think, man, that's like still in me. So I think that's really what probably drives them to do it, because it's 20 years. We're in our 20s, and some are some of us are in our late teen years. So it's like we're in our 40s now. So it's like you kind of it's not a midlife crisis thing,
mm.
but it's just, you know, you're still young, so why not do it? So I think it's kind of cool when bands do it and they come back. Dead Guy did it,
Mm.
and it's whether the fans get excited or like, it's really great that the musicians themselves, like, they do it for themselves, and it's, more power to them.
Yeah,
It's fun. That's all I see it as. This is really fun, just like going over all the logistics of, playing, like what we're gonna do, like how we're gonna travel and all that. It's just, I'm enjoying it.
yeah, 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 definitely. Now that being said, how when was the last time you were on stage, you know, doing vocals? And is your vocals ready to go through, that strenuous run that you guys are gonna do?
Last time I did vocals, on stage, I don't know. I think my last time was probably the farewell Dillinger shows,
Yeah.
and so that was like 2017.
Hmm.
And the last time I did vocals was I did that botch cover
Oh yeah, yeah.
um,
So
a
good.
couple of years
So
ago.
good.
Thanks. Yeah,
So good.
that one kind of kicked my ass because I just went in on that raw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned from that experience. More preparation is in need, so I'm good to go. I've been preparing, I've been practicing, and getting in shape vocally, so I'm good to go
Nice.
for this run. So
Yeah, I can't wait to see like some of the videos, and I mean it's just so exciting. Um, Dillinger Escape Plan was one of my favorite bands, and still is. Like, you know, being from Boston and in this area in New England, Worcester,
mhm.
I saw Dillinger back in the day when you were singing at the Space. I saw Dillinger twice,
Mhm.
and then I saw the Clinton, Mass. Gym show with Neurosis that was like
Yeah,
unbelievable. That show was like
that
one of my
that show was like under the radar epic. That that gym show. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah. That was like such a crazy show and such a memorable show to me and everybody around my friends and stuff that went. Just incredible show. The only like shitty thing about that show kind of was like everybody kind of had shorter sets and like
Hmm.
obviously Neurosis didn't have like the shortest set, but
Yeah,
um, it was kind of like almost like a 15-20 minute set for everybody and I'm pretty sure Brutal Truth didn't play that show. I think Niall
mm,
jumped on that show
yeah,
instead.
yeah.
Um,
They came all the way from ancient Egypt to play that show. Yeah, I'll play. Yep.
but the space shows were so memorable to me too because just the slew of bands that you played at the space with, like, it would be like, I think the show that I saw, Harvest played, and Ire and Black Army Jacket, and I think Caven played that show. There was another show that you guys played with Jesuit, Converge. Just those shows in general were just amazing and kind of like the kids that are my age kind of took it for granted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we do that when we're younger. We take things at the time for granted, for sure. But
Because those lineups are insane. It's just
yeah,
like,
you don't. Yeah, you don't know like how good of a show you are playing or seeing until like after the fact. You're like, whoa, those were good times, good shows. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask because, like, before when we talked, I always started off with saying, people probably, don't remember what we kind of talked about because it's been a couple years or so. But I wanted to ask, when you were a kid, what got you into music, and what was the music that you liked? And then the second part of the question would be, what got you into the heavy stuff, like the hardcore or the punk or
Hmm.
whatever it was?
Um. Hmm. There's always gateways, when you're like, it's like you climb a step ladder of music. But I don't know. Like when I was little, I didn't really grow up in a musical household. Um, my dad was a Greek immigrant. My mom used to play. She had her records, kind of Perry Como, and I'd never listened to that, but they had a lot of like Greek music that they played. But my first real music like my first band that I really liked when I was a kid, and I don't know how. I think we had a Beatles Yellow Submarine, like back then it was called a 45,
Hmm.
but it was a 7 inch, and it came with like a little book. So and it had Beatles songs on it. So Yellow Submarine was my very first like introduction to like the outside world of music. And then growing up, uh, and I had an older bro. I have an older. I didn't had an my older brother. He's 3 years older than me, so he like had friends that had older brothers. So like that influence was like a lot of classic rock. I got into Rush when I was in fifth grade, and then um, the Doors, Jethro Tull. Then the heavy music was my mom didn't really like. She monitored what we listened to, so I couldn't listen to like metal. So that was like a real draw to me.
Yeah.
So I sought out, like I heard about Metallica. Uh, this was like grade school, like elementary into junior high, like Metallica, then Slayer, and then how I got into punk, and I think the Misfits is a good gateway to the
Mm.
punk scene. So a lot of Misfits, and then you hear about all the other bands that used to play with the Misfits. So then I like discovered Minor Threat, the whole straight edge thing, and that was very appealing to me. So I think like, Misfits, Minor Threat was my gateway to like the hardcore scene.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, holy shit, then Youth of Today, and
Yeah.
like then the like the spectrum just grows with like you discover all these like kind of 88 style like Bold and Gorilla Biscuits, and then that fused into the 90s, so we're going to like 90s hardcore bands. So that's pretty much like the evolution of like how I got into hardcore. And like I was into metal first when I was younger, which
Yeah.
is kind of funny, but metal was more mainstream, so
Yeah.
that was easier to discover like Metallica or Anthrax and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have a similar background of getting into music too. Um, I kind of listened to disco when I was a kid. I mean, I'm 52 years
Yeah,
old, so it was like I was listening to like Jackson 5 and Casey and the Sunshine Band when I was real, real young. And then I kind of got into like the classic rock, like you said, like Rush. Moving Pictures was like a huge album for me. And
mm,
and then it kind of went from that to like Iron Maiden to Judas Priest and like you said Metallica,
yeah,
like Exodus,
yeah,
Slayer, and then that turned into like you said the New York, and me being from around Boston, it was like Slapshot and like the Mighty Mighty Bosstones that always played with like
mm,
Slapshot back then
mm,
too at smaller shows. So that kind of just evolved into like, and then I like you loved all the New York stuff
yeah,
too. Um, so I was huge on that. That first Gorilla Biscuits album was like Start Today was is one of my favorites of
hmm
all time. Like
it
when I
still
heard
holds
that,
up.
I was hooked.
Yeah,
So
it
um,
still holds up for sure. And you mentioned disco, and I find disco is very like overlooked as like a music genre because it's like kind of goofy on the surface,
mm,
but disco music's kind of fucking badass. Like there's a lot going on. So yeah, you can't go like if you throw that, you're the first person actually that would be like, I used to listen to disco. Like I think I was having this conversation like about a month ago about disco. Like it's like, man, disco's kind of banging. Like
mm,
if you go back and listen to it, like you take away all the elements of like, the whole lifestyle of disco, like with the like Studio 54 or whatever, and you just
yeah,
listen to the music. The music's like really, really complex and, you know, well, like put together.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I was like literally hooked. I think it's because I grew up with a mom that was a hippie and kind of I like had not a great background with
Hmm.
my mom, and so she was a hippie and she was listening to like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and stuff like that, and so it was almost like I was not rebelling against that kind of music, but I was going to the other spectrum and just finding pleasure in disco music.
Yeah,
Maybe underlying on purpose, but I really like to this day. I mean, Cool and the Gang, like all that shit. I love still, and it's funny that you say it's kind of overlooked because I don't know. It was very special to me, and I still go back and listen to it too. And then you know, you got that era where disco sucks and everybody was burning disco
yeah,
records and
yeah,
stuff like that. So it was kind of a
yeah.
strange like time back then.
Uh-huh. I think it's almost like guilty by association. Like the platform of disco is like probably what drove the whole disco sucks thing, you know? Like if you take like something like wholesome, like not wholesome, but like, you take jazz and you put it in a club with a bunch of like sparkles and lights, then it'd be like people like, ah. So,
Yeah, true,
like
true.
I think what it is, it's like, people go to raves and like with the glow stick and the big pants, but like it's like a surface thing, like people are like seeing that. So I think that's I think disco kind of shot themselves in the foot,
Yeah.
like in the long run, with like the whole, wow, we're talking about disco a lot right now.
Yeah, let's get off of disco. Let's get off again. I want to actually ask you about when you said Slayer and your parents kind of regulated what you were listening to. Did you
Yeah.
have to hide that stuff
Oh,
from your
totally.
parents when you were
Yeah.
listening to?
Yeah, like blank tapes. I couldn't buy anything because be like, "What's this?" My dad was like kind of didn't care, but my mom was like, "You can't listen to this. It's satanic and blah blah blah." And she's a mom, so my mom was cool, but not that kind of cool mom, which is fine.
Yeah,
She's just looking out,
yeah,
but
definitely.
but on the flip side, when I decided to join Dillinger, like my parents never gave me grief for like you should be going to college and this and that. Like we went on tour, so my parents have always been supportive of in the past of me being in a band and chasing that.
Mm.
So she never like suppressed me with my like endeavors, but definitely didn't want me listening to you know south of heaven kind of you know like and I get it but you know shit happens, and as a kid you're resilient. I don't know if you had to do that too, but you hide your tapes, and your friend gets a new record, one of the records, and you're like, can I copy that? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
definitely do that.
Now, was your first band Arcane, or did you have a band before that?
No, that was like my first kind of real band. Like, when you're younger, like 14, 15, you're like get together with friends and do like shitty music, and then you officially make it shitty by joining a band. Like, we made Arcane because we thought we were doing something. But yeah, me and Ben were in Arcane and super young and green. And then, we just shifted gears and went the whole Dillinger route after that, like
Yeah.
big shift. So,
No, Arcane, was that just like what type of hardcore was that?
uh,
I mean, were you doing kind of like the political, like, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
the,
We saw all like, our, you know, contemporaries doing that, and we're like, yeah, this is
mm,
cool. So like we tried it, but that wasn't us,
yeah,
like you know, we tried fitting into something that's not who we
mm,
were. So
mm,
then we kind of took a step back, and you know, Ben just turned it upside down and was like, let's do this, and him and Chris are just absolute fucking maniacs, and they just wrote these like fucking killer songs, and just you know turned everything upside down and for the better. And
yeah,
it was something different, and something different. We felt comfortable doing it. Like, this is what we want to do. We just took a step back, and we were like, let's just be ourselves and who like original and who we are, instead
mm,
of just trying to like do what's already out there and established, because they're all doing it. not that they're all the same, but they're all doing their thing. Let's
Mm,
do our thing. So that was what we wanted to do. So
yeah. Now, was it more of like an original thing like that, or did you draw influence from other bands that were kind of like, I mean, because uh, Dillinger is very, maybe not the very first EP, but very like chaotic and
mm,
mathy and jazzy. And I mean, was there like a influence where you saw another band, or Ben saw another band and was like, oh, this band, like, because the live performance too, you guys were all over the place
yeah,
and going
yeah.
wild and stuff like that. I mean, did you draw influence, or was it kind of just like came originally to you guys to be the way you were back then?
Um, Mainly, I think our influences, like every person in the band at the time will probably tell you differently, like who their influence was, what
Hmm.
we pulled. But Chris kind of came from a huge metal
Hmm.
background. He was a huge Cynic fan, Death. Um, so lot of like he just drew to the technical side of like drumming and just aggression. And Ben was like, he's like a old earache kind of metal kid. So
Yeah.
like a lot of he's like influenced by Carcass, and uh, he has like so many others. Like I think what we pulled from was like kind of like an earache level, 90s, late 80s
Hmm.
metal. Dead Guy definitely influenced us. Bands like Rorschach,
Hmm.
uh, and just the originality, like just a different sound from those kind of bands. Because if you take a band like Carcass, like they're a metal band, but they're a different kind of like you wouldn't. They're kind of labeled under death metal, but they're not really death metal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. True.
so, we what kind of wanted just to like not be under a label of like, or we're in a metal band. Because when people are like today, they're like, "What kind of band are you in?" I'm like, it's hard to explain to them. Like, like it's like we're not a hardcore band, we're not a metal band, and but people call us a metal band, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
tell I just tell like someone's like if someone's like aunt or grandma, like what kind of band are you in? I was, oh, it's very heavy.
Yeah.
So I tell people.
Yeah.
So
For me, you guys have always been like a hardcore
yeah,
band for me, just because of
it,
like back in the day and stuff like that.
yeah,
So I
like
mean,
we're a hardcore band, and like we have punk ethics. So
mm,
like the hardcore scene pulls from that. Just it's more of like not what the music sounds like. It's like how you function and how you do things. Like we are a hardcore band.
yeah,
So, it's they're two different worlds, the metal world and then the hardcore
yeah,
world. And
yeah, true.
we kind of like fused them together. Like as soon as we joined Relapse, it was like we were just going into a different world.
Hmm.
Like the metal kids never heard of us because we're a hardcore band.
Yeah,
Then we became a metal
yeah.
band. So
So I mean, do you? I mean, most people probably would say metalcore, right? I mean, I kind of don't really
yeah,
like that label, but I
yeah,
mean,
I'm with you. Yeah,
it's
people say metalcore, mathcore, like all
yeah,
these different,
mathcore,
yeah,
yeah,
noisecore. So I don't know, like, but
yeah,
I would say a hardcore band that's like a metal band. So
yeah. And on top of, like I said, the live performance, y'all were like a hardcore band back then, just because of like the guitar swinging around and just so like much
mm,
energy back then. You didn't see really metal bands doing that. Metal bands would kind of just sit there and be like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it had a hardcore band mentality live, at least for me.
yeah,
When I saw you guys back then, I was like, holy shit, this band is unbelievable.
yeah,
Um, and I always, I pestered you last time we talked. I remember that.
you did.
Um,
Yeah, you don't pester me.
the EP, the original EP, why isn't it on any streaming thing? Because like I said, it's
Uh,
one of my favorite
yeah,
things that Dillinger put out, and it's just now,
but
now or never records.
you
I
know,
mean,
I didn't realize it wasn't streaming until like we're getting ready to play these shows, so we're gonna play songs off that. And I'm like, holy shit! Like Liam sent an email. He was like, the self-titled album isn't streaming or anything. I don't know. I think it's an earache thing, and Because I think Earache owns that now. I think Now or Never Records, they sold that record to Earache.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it's not streaming.
Huh.
So
Yeah. So you guys have nothing to do with, like, you wouldn't be able to
I
put it on like a Spotify or Apple Music or something like
yeah, I
that?
don't know. I don't, maybe I don't have control of that because I don't have any Dillinger accounts. Um, but yeah, I don't know if that's like a if it's like a label thing or like a band thing. Like maybe we do have control of it
Yeah.
to put it up, but yeah, like I haven't. A lot of people don't know about the self-titled album because
Yeah, I mean, I love that EP so much. Like, Monticello is like one of my favorite songs of all time. Like, front to back, there's not one bad song on that EP at all. I love it. That's the first thing
thanks,
I
man.
ever heard. First thing I ever heard, and I like fell in love as soon as I heard it. So, you know,
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's yeah, it was definitely a crossover for us from Arcane to like Under the Running Board. Like it was like first year of
mm,
Dillinger, but it was yeah, those were we played a lot off of like we went on tour and played a lot of shows off that EP. And um, that was a massive album to get all the way to the last record Dillinger ever wrote.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that was like the genesis of everything. So um uh, I don't know. I think someone just wrote like what is it? Sprig and Vine. Have the CD. Yeah, it is on YouTube,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
So that's a good point. People are writing stuff, and I just realized that.
Yeah, it's tough to like read because
Yeah,
it scrolls, like it
I
goes
know.
away.
I want to focus my attention on you, and then oh, Mike Olander. Hi, Mike, if he's still on. Anyway, um, yeah. The funny thing is, like, playing these shows, everyone's like, play in Mexico City, play this place, and we're like, damn, we wish, man,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of bummed being a Boston guy like that. Y'all not playing in Boston, but
yeah. We would
Boston.
we would love to play more places than we are. It's just we're not we have you know other things in life, so it's like
Yeah,
to make a tour of this and then like we're not continuing the band, so it's like
mm,
we can't drop everything to like make a huge like tour and then we come back and then there's
yeah,
nothing. So
yeah, yeah,
it's hard. We want to play like that's why we're adding a lot of extra shows too because we put Chicago in because we wanted to find something central for like people in the Midwest, and
yeah,
a lot of people want to see it. So a lot of people are upset that we haven't played or we added shows, but there are people that can't make regional shows. So that's why we're trying to like we tried our hardest to like you know play in other locations. So
yeah,
you,
yeah,
you
definitely.
can't please you can't win them all. So we're trying our best.
Yeah. Now is the set list set for when you guys play, or is it gonna kind of change as the shows go?
We're gonna definitely change them up based on what shows we're playing and how much time we have. The Brooklyn shows are gonna be different sets than like the Chicago show.
Hmm.
So we have like tentative set lists, but we got to just fine tune them. And once we get all together and you know put the pen to paper and get the sets down and all that. So
Yeah,
they'll all be different. So
yeah.
it's not going to be like the same set every show.
And you'll be obviously pulling from the original EP Under the Running Board and then calculating, but
Yeah,
mostly calculating because I'm assuming because it's the 25th
yeah,
anniversary
mostly
this year.
mostly calculating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. Um, I wanted to ask you about like tour back in the day. And I know you guys toured with Botch for a short while, and then so I wanted to ask you, what kind of bands did you enjoy playing with back then? And do you find yourself still listening to some of those old bands that you played with that kind of, you enjoyed playing with back in the day?
I just turned my computer on. Sorry. Let me put it back to sleep. Which bands did I enjoy playing with?
Yeah, back to
Uh,
back then in like the late '90s.
like specific bands or just like what kind of like style
No, like
bands?
specific bands that you were really like into that you liked enjoyed watching play live, or you enjoyed the music or whatever they
Yeah,
put
man. I mean, the Botch definitely.
out.
Um, they're great. Like they're great human beings. Converge was always great to play with. Um, Cave In were my favorites. Um, just like at like when the whole Until Your Heart Stops when that came out,
Yeah,
like playing a bunch of shows with Cave In, that was always good times because it's fun to watch them play and then just like hang with them. Same with Botch, like uh, um, I live out here in Seattle and I don't see them a lot, but
yeah,
it's just always good to see them. It's like a brother type mentality, like you know, it's like when you have your people, like those are our people.
yeah.
So
Now,
I would say Botch is probably the top of the
yeah,
list for me.
yeah. Did you catch Botch in Seattle when they played recently
I saw them last February,
last February?
so I didn't see they I think their first show back was in Tacoma,
Mm-hmm.
but I saw them in February and just like fucking crushing. It was like watching it was like watching like like a time warp. Like I was
Yeah,
watching it and it was just like kind of like fuck. It was like a mind fuck. Like because it felt like 2000,
yeah,
2001. Like they were just like they sounded incredible and like just exactly how they did. So that was weird. And it was like I was watching from the crowd too.
yeah.
And it was like normally when I saw a Botch, it was like I was a little
Mm-hmm.
closer, and, or like on the side of the stage.
Yeah,
But I was like kind of in the back in the middle, and it was like I was like, this is like surreal. Like I'm like watching them like as a fan.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, it was cool.
I mean, is it kind of weird being on like I know Dillinger's played on big stages and stuff like that, but do you
Mm-hmm.
miss like the close knit shows where you're playing on the floor and everybody's surrounding you and everybody's kind of almost like leaning on you and the
Yeah,
the cabs are getting
yeah.
pushed over and stuff like that. I mean, do you miss that type of atmosphere like
Mm-hmm.
back in the day how it was so like crazy but so just
It's
very
super intimate.
yeah
Yeah, those shows are fun. Um, if you can not blow out the power in a smaller show, because that usually happens with bands.
yeah true
You know how many hardcore shows have you been to or like fuck a fuse broke and like in
yeah.
between song. Other than that, I love those kind of shows. Like they're the best because it's so intimate, and um, bigger shows like that take away that intimacy.
Yeah.
You have the barrier, and then sometimes there's the moat,
Hmm.
and then the stage is a little higher.
Yeah.
So that you can compensate for that, but yeah, like those floor shows or the stages that are just like almost knee level,
Yeah.
like perfect. Like those are like those are like that's the backbone of our scene, like
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't. I don't like. Yeah, you can't. There's no comparison. Those are the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I know like obviously you guys are playing bigger venues and stuff like that, but would that ever be a thing where you guys were just like fuck it, we're just gonna play on the floor?
Uh, maybe, hopefully, if maybe we could figure something out, like do a show like under some, or just do a show saying Dillinger's playing that place down the venue.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
who knows? Maybe I'll do some heavy convincing. We'll find a Stalag 13 type place,
Yeah.
or or the space. Remember this? You
Yeah.
mentioned it
The
earlier,
space.
like the
Yeah.
space.
The
Yeah,
space was amazing.
in
Yeah. The space
in
was awesome.
Worcester.
Good old Worcester.
Yeah. Worcester had some great shows,
Oh
man.
my God, the space was like where it was at back then,
Yep.
and there was a place in Worcester called Espresso Bar too that had like some good shows too back then. Um, Boston is funny. Back in the late '90s, I mean, Boston had some shows out like the Middle East, but it was like mostly like Worcester
Yeah.
having most of those shows,
Worcester.
which is very
That's where we rarely played Boston when we were when I was in the band. It was primarily Worcester.
yeah. Yeah, which is so strange because now you don't see that many shows. You see like the big Palladium shows. There's a place called the Palladium there that has like bigger shows. It's a bigger venue, obviously,
Yeah.
but there's no really small places in Worcester anymore that
Yeah.
were like the Space or Espresso Bar and
It's like every city or area has that. Like that place doesn't exist anymore. So
yeah,
um it sucks. But like when big business is around and like like lease the monthly leases, the price goes up. The venues can't like sometimes venues can't like justify that, so they have to close shop. But then it's like it sounds so romantic and corny, but there's no place for kids to see a show.
yeah, true,
Like where are the kids going to go?
yeah,
But that's the resiliency of like the whole punk and hardcore scene where they'll find somewhere to go, and like rent a VFW and
yep,
whatever. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I'm not too versed on like punk scenes
mhm,
nowadays or if the kids are still doing it, but I mean, we did it in the 90s, so I'm sure like kids in the 80s they were doing it. So hopefully each decade like those kids can figure it out.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I think that's why we played Worcester a lot because there was those type of friendly places that they were spaces to play.
yeah,
And
definitely.
but,
the
but
the
yeah.
I feel like nowadays, like Boston kind of, I mean, Boston has a lot of shows at the Middle East, but for like young kids, the scene is really like popping in Providence, Rhode Island right now. There's like
Oh really?
some small venues and like a lot of them, not just like one or two. There's like a handful of shows that are popping
That's
off in
good.
Providence, on a smaller scale. But the kids, like, it's crazy the reassurance like of kids going to shows now. Like I'm talking younger kids. I went
Mm,
to a show in where was it? Somerville a couple weeks ago, and it was an all ages show, and the place was packed. All the kids were going wild.
really?
There was no fights. There was no fights. It was all like teenagers, and it was like very refreshing to see that the scene is still like what it is, like even
Yeah.
back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's still alive. Just the different new generation. That's really cool to hear. Yeah, I went to a show like a year and a half ago in Seattle at this like community space.
Mm.
It's over by like where the Space Needle is. I forget what it's called, but and I'm totally blowing it. But I went and the band No Man
Yeah.
was playing,
Yes.
and I went and I felt so fucking old. Like I was like, holy shit. Like I'm not old. I'm, middle aged, I guess, but like there were a lot of young kids there, which it was like cool because it's just like they were fucking doing it. Like that was
Yeah.
their time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
right now is their time. So it's cool to see that it was still alive, like 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 punk and hardcore shows are still happening,
Yeah.
you know, and man, but I'm like, holy shit, like I'm like there's like kids there that are like my oldest daughter's age. She's 16, so I'm
Yeah.
like I could be the parent of these
Yeah. Yeah.
kids.
Yeah. It's funny you said that because I mean I have gray hair. If I you know me, if when I grow a beard it looks like Santa.
Yeah,
And when I go, it's like I feel old, but I don't. It doesn't really bother me that much. I went with my
yeah,
other friend that's like 2 years older than me, and there was like young kids pushing me into like the pit area and
Yeah.
just, and
He's like,
like
ah,
giving him like high fives and like, yeah, old man, like you're in here,
yeah,
like. So it was kind of like a cool thing where they, accepted the oldies that
yeah.
were, you know.
It's like we're a novelty.
Yeah.
He's pushing them, saying, "Yeah, I just want to go to the fucking show, man."
Mm. Yeah, it was funny, but I mean, he had a great time too. He thought it was funny getting shoved in there, but it was like some young girl that kept pushing him in and being like, "Get in there!" And he was
Yeah.
like, you
He's like,
know,
dude, don't
yeah,
stop.
he's like, "I'm gonna break a bone in
Yeah.
here, like stop." Um,
Yep. I need to take calcium
yeah,
pills.
exactly. I, always saved something as good as Under the Running Board.
Ah.
One of my favorite. I'm an old guy, so I have CDs. Everybody has
Oh
vinyl
yeah.
now, so yeah, I still rock CDs because I'm, an old guy. So,
Good for you.
uh,
Well, tapes are coming back,
yeah,
or they were
cassettes
back,
are
and then they
huge
just
right now.
yeah.
It's
But
crazy.
so yeah, rock that CD. I was still wondering because it didn't look like a because it had a different like the text was different.
Oh, this one right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think like Relapsed like redid this one because
Oh,
it has all
yeah,
the.
yeah. I have my records next to me, but
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like.
Look at that. Interesting. Yeah, I remember CDs doing layouts for them and stuff.
I know, I miss them. When I see a CD at a show now, I'm like excited. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. Like, for the self-titled album to get to hear them for the shows, they're not streaming, but they are on YouTube. But like I don't have a CD player really, so even if I have it on CD, I don't have one, so I can't listen to it. I don't have it
Yeah.
on I don't have that album on record either. But so I'm like, how the fuck do I listen to it? But now I can hear it on YouTube.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So
Yeah, I think it's hard to find too because obviously like I don't know if Discogs, I think it's pretty expensive on Discogs if you're
pro
trying to find the CD of that.
yeah, probably because they don't really exist.
Yeah.
And
Like
and they don't exist in like the other how many like how much volume of the other ones were
yeah.
produced. So and I think people get confused about that record too because originally that album had like a doll's head
Yeah.
on the cover,
Yeah.
and then we had Aaron Turner. He redid the layout, and so like it's the same record but two different layouts. So that might confuse people too.
Yeah. Now I had the Doll's Head
Yeah,
CD
that was the
before.
one that's been in circulation for quite a
Yeah.
while. That's the original artwork and everything. And then we just kind of rebranded it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we just had Aaron Turner, whip up a new layout for it. So that might confuse people. So
Yeah. No, was that kind of just because you got with Aaron Turner because you guys did the split with Drowning Man and that came out on Hydra Head or it was
I
like
think
how did that?
so. Yeah, I think it was like a Hydra Head. I think now I don't know if they worked out something with Now or Never, where it's like or Now or Never put it out fresh. I don't know, but I definitely know it was like a Hydra Head buddy thing. Like hey, you want to redo our album? I don't know if he put it out. Someone might correct me, and I know like some people out there will be like, give me history of my own band, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's what happened. So there's internet sleuths out there somewhere. That's not a pressing issue. Like if the self-title came out on Hydra Head, I think so. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think.
Now, do you think that holds up for you? Most people when they first put out something, you know, the first thing they put out, and then obviously calculating came out. I mean, obviously there was a progression there. I mean, it holds up to me. Are you proud of that album, or are you kind of just like, yeah, like we got better and better and better as we went on? Because, like I said, that album holds up so much for me,
Hmm.
as well as everything that you were
Yeah,
a part of. And I'm not diminishing the other singers that
yeah,
were in Dillinger, but you by far are, you know, anything that you were on is my favorite stuff from Dillinger,
Mm,
like by far, 100%.
yeah.
And
See, thank you for saying that, and I'm glad you made the point by saying not diminishing, because that does happen where people are saying, I prefer the whole newer version of Dillinger because the old singer was blah blah blah,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
I like the old because the new singer is blah
Mm,
blah blah. I like how you put it because you know that you like what you like, and it doesn't diminish. You can like what you like, but there's no need to diminish. And
exactly.
so the self getting into the self-titled, I really still love it, and I think that it was a great beginning to an evolution of the band,
Hmm.
and it still holds up to me because that's still the personality of the band is still in it, even though like the music
Yeah,
evolved,
yeah.
you know, 2 3 records down and then more, but yeah, I'm proud of it. I still like it. It was definitely the foundation of who we became and who we were. So um yeah, like some people are embarrassed of maybe some earlier records, like, but you know, that was like the genesis of who we were and
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
So
definitely. And so, like, Under the Running Board came out, and then, if I'm correct, the two splits came out, and then it was Calculating that came out because of, the
yeah,
Nora split, and then the Drowning
yeah,
Man. You guys did that first before
hmm,
Calculating came out, correct?
yeah. We did splits. You know, especially in the hardcore scene, when you do a split with someone, you sometimes you use a song twice, or you record a
Yeah,
song, then you put it on a split, and then you can re-record it and then put it on an album. Like songs don't grow on trees
yeah,
when you're like when
yes.
you're a bit, especially like with hardcore bands that have a time constraint,
Mhm.
and like even with like back in the day we paid for our own
Yeah,
recordings,
yeah,
you know, it's so like you're like it's cost effective, like, oh, you know, like we have this song ready to go, we'll put it out on the split. So
yeah.
yeah, so those splits came out probably in between when Under the Running Board came out. Like
Hmm.
we paid for that recording ourselves, and then Relapse put it out, um and then you know we you know got the contract to do Calculating and so on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably like the progression of or the timeline of you know what was released in between the self-titled
Yeah.
albums.
Which is great because I mean those labels were great that those got put out on. I mean,
Hmm.
Hydra Head and then Ferret is
Yeah.
is was a great label back
Yep.
then. Uh, and
Yeah.
Nora is such a great band too.
Yeah.
So
Within the hardcore world, it was like perfect to put out what we did with who we did, because it was just people were going to see it, and there was going to be exposure to it. So, and
mm.
those labels had a lot of exposure back then, you know, like
so so with this 25-year anniversary, will there be like I could be like missing out on information, but will there be like a repress of Calculating Infinity, like vinylly wise, or anything
I,
anything repressed or remastered or whatever?
I I don't know, considering the show is in like a month and a half,
Hmm.
you know. So um I think I don't, because I know Relapse did that with Calculating at the on the 20-year
Hmm.
mark, and then I think they did that with other Dillinger albums. But um, my guess would be maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything official,
yeah,
so um, I, I heard it talked about, like I was talking with Ben. He was like, maybe Relapse can do a 25-year thing we could sell at the Brooklyn shows
yeah.
with Relapse. But other than that, I haven't heard anything about it. If it happens, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to ask because just in case people wanted
Yeah,
to grab it or
yeah.
whatever. I wanted you being a dad. Are your you have two kids or one kid? Three
Three.
kids.
Hmm.
Are they excited for you that you're going, kind of on tour, or are they kind of
um,
or are they kind of bummed out that you're leaving for a little while?
uh, um, my teenager, she's 16, could give two fucks. She's like, cool. And my 10-year-old, there's an interest
Hmm.
with it. Um, she asks me about it, and I'm like, you want to come to one of the shows, or like,
Yeah.
like I could fly you down for the weekend. You could hang. We could this. And she's like, is it gonna like? Her main question was like, is it gonna be loud? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's like, so my 10-year-old shows way more interest than my 16-year-old. But I don't know. Like I can't will them to be interested.
Yeah.
Like you have to come watch me
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this and that. It would be so cool if they were like, we gotta come and this and that. But it's their personalities. They're just they are who they are. But and my I have a almost 5-month old,
Hmm.
so he has no idea. He
Yeah.
just likes noises when you make them out of your mouth. So
Yeah.
um yeah, so he probably, I don't know. I have to ask him when he gets older if he would have been interested.
Yeah. Now,
So
do your kids like not like the music at all? Because I have two daughters and they can't stand it.
yeah,
Like I set up a show
yeah,
a
they're
little
not
what?
into it.
Yeah, I set up a show maybe I think it was like 8 months ago in my hometown at the town hall. You know what I mean? Because it had been
Yeah,
a long, long time. It was like at least 15 years since I set up a show. So I set up a
yeah,
show, bunch of screamo hardcore bands played, and they, my daughters
and
watched for
they're
about
like,
10 minutes and was like
and they're
way
just
too
like,
loud.
ah,
They were like,
yeah.
no, we can't do it.
That's
So
those are probably my daughters. Yeah, like I don't know what my 16-year-old listens to. She likes uh Tom Impala. Is that how you pronounce him?
I'm
It's
not
it,
sure.
it reads Tame Impala, but my ignorance is. But she likes like melodic light music.
Yeah,
My 10-year-old, she likes a lot of like pop music. Um, like she likes uh like 80s
yeah,
80s pop.
yeah.
Like she has like an 80s play. She likes Van Halen,
Nice,
which I'm like, whoa. And
nice,
she likes, there's some Ozzy Osbourne songs she likes. She loves Crazy Train.
nice.
Um, so she has this playlist that she like always listens to, and it's from like Whitney Houston, Cyndi Lauper, um, Billy Idol, Van Halen, and then she like has Ozzy Osbourne in there. I'm like, all
Yeah, yeah,
right, we'll
yeah,
see. So my my 10-year-old's a little more, she's a little more like vocal about what she likes. My
yeah.
other one just listens in her headphones and
Yeah.
that's it. She's more mysterious.
Yeah, yeah. Mine's almost opposite. My little one kind of just is like a Swifty, Olivia Rodrigo, like
Olivia
whatever.
Rodrigo,
Yeah,
yep,
like whatever the TikTok like hype is. And then
exactly.
my oldest one is like I guess more eclectic with like she'll listen to like Portishead and she listens
Oh,
to the Smiths and then
right
she'll still listen to
on.
like Nicki Minaj too. You know what I mean? So it's
Okay,
like
yeah, so she's still current, but she knows she's got some good flavor.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Portishead, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like,
I kind of showed her a little bit, and then she was jamming it in her room, and I'm like, wait a second,
like
and
whoa, like
yeah,
your
I
head
was like,
explodes.
wow, I was like, this is cool.
Because even when Portishead was around, not a lot of it wasn't a very like, I love Portishead, but like they're not a very common band where people are like, I like
Yeah,
Portishead.
yeah,
But
true.
the fact that like your daughter like decades later is into Portishead, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah. I was and now she finds things, and she's like, oh, have you heard this? And I'm like, yeah, of course I heard this. Like, I'm like,
What do you think of this band? You're
yeah, and
like,
I'm
yeah,
like, oh, this is amazing. I'm like, I can't believe you like this too. And she's like, yeah, I love this. So
yeah,
it's very refreshing to you know um, look at her playlist on Spotify
yeah.
because I'm like kind of impressed by it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's funny you mentioned Olivia Rodrigo. That was another thing. What my 10-year-old does is, I'm like, "Where'd you hear this?" And she's just like, "Oh, it was on a YouTube channel or it was on a TikTok."
yeah,
And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But that's the new radio for kids today.
yeah, true.
Like, cause like either like word of mouth through friends or we hear stuff on the radio. Like TikTok and YouTube is like that's how kids like know about
Yeah,
music now. You know, and
true.
it's like I got to thanks for mentioning Portishead. I got to introduce that to my kids.
Yeah,
You know, they would like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, my,
Awesome.
that and I wanted to mention she's like huge into Hope Sandoval from Mazzy Star. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
so
That sounds
that type of
familiar.
stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God, you love that stuff. I can't believe it. It's
Yeah.
like because I love
Uh-huh.
Hope. Like she's
Uh-huh.
so like her voice is like amazing to me. So
Wow. It's funny how when we're parents and we see how our kids discover music, and it's like sometimes I don't push, even though I just said I'll mention Portishead. I'll be like, "What do you think of this band?" But I don't push them to like a certain style.
yeah,
Like I don't want them to front. I just want them to be who they
yeah,
are.
me
Like
too.
if like your daughter's a Swiftie, there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that. But it's like that's not my
mm,
world. But you know, like what you like. You know, be you. You know, so and I think that's what music is, that expression where that's like you identify, you relate to it. So it's cool when you see kids like you know gravitate to a certain sound. It's you know from a parent's perspective, I think it's pretty like cool to witness.
yeah, I agree. The thing I always say to my daughters too is I say, listen, don't ever let somebody tell you that what you listen to is like crap.
Mhm.
Like if you like something, then you stick
So
with
you
it.
like
Don't
it,
let
yeah,
somebody come in and influence you and say, "Oh, that stuff sucks."
yeah,
Like why are you listening
exactly,
to that stuff?
yeah,
Listen to what you want
yeah.
and stick with it and don't let anybody influence you on anything else. And that's very important to me.
I absolutely agree with that. It's it's like the term guilty pleasure. What's your guilty pleasure? There's no such thing as a guilty pleasure in my
Hmm.
eyes. Like I shouldn't be guilty. I like something. I enjoy it. It's like why should you be guilty for liking it? You know? Or it's like when people poo poo like when someone drinks shitty beer, like you like Coors Light or
Yeah,
whatever. Just like what you like. It tastes good to people, you know? Like you know, I'm
exactly.
not you can't will something on somebody. Like you need to like this because it's better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so great you do that with your kids too, you know? Just like
It
what you like and be yourself.
it just reminds me too of like trolls on the internet that like, you know, for example, Dillinger escape him, they'd be like, "Oh, I don't like Greg because this, and I don't. And Mike Patton did this, and I don't blah 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 blah." It's like I don't do that. I just, you know, I never say anything negative. I'm just like, "Oh, that's just not for me.
Yep.
I prefer this." I don't shit on whatever
Yeah.
it is because there's so much trolling going on now and social media and all this stuff and like hatred and all this stuff, and I just don't agree with
Yeah.
like just
I
saying,
agree.
"Listen, you'll never hear me say I hate this band because it's
Yeah.
just I
Yeah.
just
It's not my cup of
yeah
tea. But yeah, that's and I agree with you. Like there's no need to be negative if you don't like something and it's a-okay to have an opinion where you're like I like this era better.
hmm
Um like I I relate to it more, I enjoy it more. That's totally fine. But you don't have to be like well there's no need to be negative.
hmm
That's how I see it. It's and things are different, you know, like music is different with whatever, like this band or that band. Just things are different and just see it as that. So
yeah
yeah, people love to fucking complain. I think that's the other thing.
yeah
You
exactly
know, like it's like a gambler's not happy if they're not complaining, or a gambling and a complainer's not happy unless they're
yeah
complaining. So
true very true
it's it's that's the bottom. You can't make everybody happy, and you know I suck to like probably uh, thousands and thousands of people. I probably really fucking suck. It doesn't bother me. You
I
know?
don't think so, but I mean, you can go
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I remember playing Mr. Bungle, and we were playing in Milwaukee, and we played our opening set, and then I was at the merch table after we were done, and I had to go through the crowd to get more T-shirts from the band room,
mhm.
and some kid like stops, and he's like, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey," and he was like, "You were in that first band, right?" And I said, "Yeah," and he was like, "Man, you guys fucking sucked." And I was like,
Jesus.
I was like, thanks. I was like, cool. I was like, thank you. Like, and I was like, sorry. And I just kept walking, and I was like,
Jesus.
wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's just people. Like people are different. They're all different, and they all want to tell you that you suck, or does they just hold it to themselves? But you can't win them all. But I love how you tell your kids, like, don't mind what other people say. Just fucking be
Yep.
you. And I think that's everything in life. Whether you're a writer, you're a cook, everything. Just do what you're
Yeah.
doing. Just turn off the noise.
Yep.
Like we wouldn't be Dillinger Escape Plan if we listened to the
Yeah.
noise. Like we were us. So like that mentality you teach your kids that's the way to go.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you. And to everybody that's watching, these are some good dad lessons for everybody to listen to right now.
Totally, totally.
So,
Like if you yeah, even with young bands when they ask, like, not as like I'm their dad, but like I've had over the years so many like young bands were like, what do I do? And I'm like, just don't stop what you're doing, and just always be true, like be yourself, like, and turn off the noise, like
yeah.
just keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
like like do your sound, do your originality, and just don't
Yeah.
stop. Like once you stop because you're getting discouraged about something, like it's you're not going to grow.
Yeah.
And that's how
Exactly.
bands grow. That's how we grow as humans. So
Yeah.
it's like we let the negativity hit us. Like 19 people can tell you did a good job, and then one person is like, you guys were that was a terrible job.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we're gonna focus on the negative. It's like if you focus on positive and just keep doing it, like you'll be okay. You'll
Yeah.
be satisfied
Yeah.
too. Like the success is more of like, are you satisfied with what you're
Yeah.
doing and where you're at? So
Yeah, exactly. Pleasing yourself is like the
yep,
main thing to do, and don't let outside forces coerce you to
yeah,
do something that you're not
yeah,
comfortable with or you don't want to do. It's like in bands alone, my small tiny bands, we didn't sound like anybody, and at first nobody liked us at at all because we
yeah,
sounded so different. We sounded like
yeah,
a screamo band with like some weird quirky singing in it, and like, but we never changed. We always stayed that sound. We never like was like, okay, we'll get heavier and we won't do these weird vocals. It was just we always stayed true to ourselves, and that's
mm-hmm,
very important for you don't want any outside forces trying to
yeah.
influence like what you're doing on. So um, I don't want to keep you for too long, and like I said, I super appreciate us doing take two of this.
Oh,
But
likewise, man. We'll do
and
take three. I'll do as many takes. That's fine.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm into it.
I mean, it's an honor, obviously, because I'm such a huge fan, and um, I don't know if you remember this, but we always do a little, uh,
Questions? Yeah.
questionnaires. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so
I think you stumped me last time.
let's get into these
I'm
questions.
ready.
All right,
Lightning round.
lightning round, Hal Capone style. So number one is, what is your all-time favorite hardcore band from New England?
I don't know if you asked me this before, so it's not on record where I can contradict. New England hardcore band. Man, I got to go with Converge. That's
Convergence.
probably like, yeah, like you mentioned Slapshot earlier, but like I know Converge. Like I have so much history
Yeah,
with them.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you
That's
can't
just
go
like
wrong with
that's
Converge.
like a Sophie's Choice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Number two, what was your first hardcore show you attended? Like your real first hardcore show, not like a Battle of the Bands type of thing, like where you
Yeah.
went to like a venue and saw a hardcore show. What was
Um,
your first one?
my first hardcore show, I went to see 108 in Newark, New Jersey.
Sick, sick.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the other bands that played at that
I
show?
think Bulldoze, One for One played.
Bruh.
See, I always liked punk and hardcore, but I never went into New York to see any of the matinee shows
Yeah,
because it's like it was hard. I'm from New Jersey, so I would have to like take a train over, so it was hard. But my first show was 108, like One for One, Bulldoze. And that
yeah.
was in Newark. I forget what venue it was, but that was my first like hardcore show.
Nice, nice. That's a good one though.
But my first real kind of indie show was I saw Dinosaur Jr. play with My Bloody Valentine.
Wow.
So
Where was that at?
that was down in Tampa, Florida, at Janet's
Wow, no
Landing.
kidding.
Yeah, I was. We were on vacation, and my brother saw it in the paper, and he was like, "Oh, Dinosaur Jr. is playing with My Bloody Valentine." I was 14, and I was like, "Okay." And we went, and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
S- Loud. I was
That's
like, "This
awesome.
is like holy shit!" Yeah, that was my first like real show.
Wow, that is awesome. Um, my third question, what was your favorite hardcore show you attended but didn't perform? So like you went to a hardcore show to see a
Mhm.
band and it was like your all-time favorite, you were blown away. But Dillinger wasn't playing.
Um, Probably one of those wetlands shows back in the day, like where they had the wetlands matinees, like Snapcase played, and I forget a bunch of other bands like Kiss It Goodbye.
Mm,
Um, I didn't play the show, but I remember going, and it was like Shai Hulud
yeah,
played, I think.
yeah,
But yeah, the wetlands used to have awesome like matinee hardcore shows where it was just like I think those were like my favorite.
yeah. Now, were you a big like Victory guy when Victory was like popping off
Oh yeah,
back then?
Victory cranked out a lot of great records. Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, what was give me two of your. I know I'm kind of going off a
No,
little bit, but give
that's
me
fine.
give me two of your favorite Victory releases of all time for you. Your favorite two.
Dead Guy, Fixation on a Coworker. That's
Def-
like number
yeah,
one. Um,
definitely.
what would be my good Victory? Hmm.
I mean, were you a Bloodlet guy? Were
Oh yeah,
you?
the Bloodlet stuff is yeah probably my favorites. But at the like the I think Bloodlet and like Dead Guy for me stand the test
Mm,
of time, and
mm,
I think Earth Crisis and Snapcase, those were like good like for the times when those came out.
yeah.
Like I find that for me, for my own personal taste, like
Hmm.
those are like those aged well for with me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like that guy in Bloodlet.
yeah,
But I remember
yeah. Me too.
when I remember when Bloodlet signed to Victory, we were like, holy shit, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Like a Florida band. I was just like,
Yep,
whoa. Like I was like, this is
exactly.
sick. I was
Like a
like,
dark metal Florida band
yeah.
signed with Victory, and we were like, holy shit. Yeah, Bloodlet was
Yeah,
awesome.
it's funny. It's funny that like Dead Guy and Bloodlet didn't really kind of like go with what they, like you said, Snapcase and Earth Crisis and even like I'd say like I'm with you, Dead Guy, Bloodlet, and then the Systems Overload by Integrity was like
Integrity,
one
yep.
one one of my favorite like albums too. That
Yeah,
that
Systems
Victory.
Overload was, I think, yeah, you're mentioning so many that I'm just like they're in my brain and you're just like releasing them. But yeah, that was a fantastic album.
Yeah, definitely. Did you see the uh Dead Guy Bloodlet tour? They did like a little mini tour. Did
I
you
think
end up
so.
going?
I think they played Princeton. There was a lot of shows down in Princeton, New Jersey.
Hmm.
I think I did.
Yeah. And back then, did you, when kind of like, I hate the term screamo, but did you like ever gravitate towards that style of hardcore too? Like, I know you and I was from New Jersey,
Yeah.
and was that kind of one of your tastes back then that you kind of got into, or no?
Um, yes and no. Like it depended on the band.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't like my like go to like I'm gonna listen to this. but you and we played with them a ton of times.
Mm.
And I always dug them. But yeah, I guess it was circumstantial. It depended on who it was,
Yeah, yeah,
and what it was.
yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm sorry, I went I went sideways for a second. Um, my next question: what was your all-time favorite show you played that meant the most to you, like in Dillinger? Or give me one or two. I know, like people have like a handful of shows that meant the most to them, but give me a couple, or at least one that really meant
uh,
something to you.
uh, I think probably the first time or the only time we played the Milwaukee Metal Fest was probably one of them. Um, we were kind of the new Relapse band, and that was back when the Milwaukee Metal Fest was like pretty much 99% metalheads.
Yeah.
And so like that was for us an introduction to a whole new world,
Mhm.
for us and for like the whole metal world. Um, I remember we were getting heckled as we were setting up. We're not metal. Get off the stage. So many like
Yeah,
heckling comments.
yeah.
And I remember after we played our first song, we played the Mullet Burden,
Mm.
and when we were done playing, like at the last hit, like it's just like an eruption of like yeah, like it's just like the crowd fucking like
Yeah,
instantly like
yeah, turned.
was like holy yeah,
Yeah,
completely turned. And I think that was like that show like really sticks out to me because it was like that was like our MO was just to like play, and we'll play in a coffee shop full of people that don't know who we are or what, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It
yeah,
was just
yeah.
like it wasn't like we conquered anything, but like it was just like it was satisfying for us because it was just like, all right, you don't like us, then we'll
Yeah.
play, and then they ended up liking us. So that was I think probably up there for me.
Nice.
Like that was like for me it felt groundbreaking for like who we
Yeah,
were,
yeah,
that moment.
yeah. Now I know, like when Calculating came out, and then like there's stories of kind of the touring that took a toll on you, and that's kind of why you stepped away from the band. Is that the story of kind of just the grueling touring that was going to be involved?
um Resource wise, hardcore bands do everything by themselves, and you know we drive ourselves. If we're lucky, we'll have someone book our shows and
Mm.
like set up a tour for us. um we didn't have a merch guy. We moved in all that's what hardcore bands do. They move
Yeah,
their
yeah,
own equipment,
yeah.
sell their own merch, and it gets exhausting after a
Hmm.
while. So like at the time I felt exhausted from playing,
Yeah,
and so that factored in a lot. Like I still wanted to be in a band and like record and write songs and stuff,
yeah,
but for me it got exhausting.
yeah,
And looking back, like I could have been like, yeah, I'm going to stick with this, but you make your choices and your life goes how it goes. So I
yeah.
have no regrets of what happened. So like of like how I felt,
Hmm.
and like when when doors close, other one like another one open, and
Yeah,
so the door opened for other people in the world. So
yeah,
and I had opportunities outside the band to do. So is life happened, and
yeah.
uh and we're here today. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it went full circle almost, and
almost
now,
only almost full circle, long circle, man.
yeah, long circle. Now after that was like, so where did Tokyo kind of come into? Because uh, like was obviously that was after, right?
Yeah, that was like uh I got you know a message that like some people in the Philly area wanted to like possibly start a band, and we tried to make it work, but with like life and schedule and the distance at the time, like there was no like computer sharing, file sharing to practice, so
Yeah.
that kind of fell apart quick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a fun experience, but
Yeah. Now, is
it
that
just
can you
didn't materialize.
find that anywhere? Because like I don't like I looked on YouTube and stuff like that, and I couldn't find like what
Nah, it was never released.
never
There's
released.
demos floating around somewhere, but it wasn't. It had more of like a Discord DC sound to it.
Yeah.
So even though we're not a DC band, or we weren't, but yeah, it wasn't a metal band at all.
Yes. Were
So
your vocals like different sounding than
yeah,
yeah.
a little bit. It was more
Nice.
on the line of like Swizz,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Nice.
So
Nice. Nice. Um okay, I'll go back to questions. Sorry.
okay,
I'm like
okay,
veering off to like other things because it's like jumps into my mind.
that's
Um
fine.
I always we're talking about movies always like last time. I'm a huge movie guy. And I always ask this, what was the last movie you watched?
Shit. Well, I've been neck deep in Curb Your Enthusiasm, so I finally watched the finale last night. But movie, what's the last movie I saw? Oh, The Goonies. I watched The Goonies with my 10-year-old.
Nice, nice. What'd your 10-year-old think of it?
Loves
Yeah,
it. At
yeah.
first, they're a little apprehensive, and then like I just talked her through it. It's whatever, and she was like, "They're cursing a lot in this movie." That was her take. That was her first take off of it, and but yeah, she loves it,
Yeah,
and like there's Cyndi Lauper song in it, so
yeah, yeah.
so what about you? Was the last movie you
Um,
saw?
I was watching a movie called Leroy, Texas last night. I have probably maybe 15 minutes left because I fell asleep, but it's kind of a movie. It's a newer movie that just came out about a kind of like this guy that works at a hardware store with his brother and gets mixed up with a hitman that is going to kill somebody in that town. And the guy that's kind of mild mannered has a wife that's cheating on him with his brother that's in the hardware store that they own, and
Mm-hmm.
he's about to like kill himself, and he's in this hotel parking lot, and that assassin guy that's supposed to kill somebody gets mixed up, and the guy pays the guy that's about to kill himself. He thinks he's the hitman, so he's like, here, you got to get this done. And um gives this guy the money, and he's like, what are you talking about? But he has a gun, so the guy thinks he's the assassin. And so that guy needs money because his wife's cheating on him and she wants like a salon or something like that. So he's like, oh, I'll take this money, and like I'm sick of being stepped on all the time. And one thing leads to another, and he ends up like killing the guy that the hitman was supposed to kill, and now the hitman's after that guy, and like his life is kind of falling apart. And you know what I mean? It's um I'll send you the trailer.
Okay,
It's kind of like a Coen Brothers
okay,
style movie. You know what I mean?
yeah, but you did fall asleep to it. So is it that interesting?
Yeah, but it was like 1 o'clock in the morning last night. So, and I'm old.
No, no, I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
I'm like a cat in the sun. If the sun hits
Yeah,
me, I
you're like
start falling asleep.
out.
You know what
Hmm.
I mean? In the movie vein, I always ask, what is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Hmm. I'm not a horror guy. Uh, um, but if I was to pick a horror movie, that's not really a horror movie, but it is labeled horror. I like The Lost Boys.
Lost
Would you
Boys. Good.
say that's a horror
Yeah,
movie?
that's a horror
Okay,
movie. I
The
would
Lost
say that's a horror
Boys.
movie. Yeah,
Lost
definitely.
Boys.
Lost Boys. That's a good one. Um, my next question. I listen to old school hip hop a lot. I listen to new hip hop, but
Yeah,
sounds like old '90s hip
yeah.
hop style. If you've been listening to hip hop lately at all, what have you been listening to?
Um, Czarface for sure. Um, I got turned on to Griselda
Hmm.
by by someone that I trust their opinion. Um, uh, MF Doom,
Hmm.
like all like those are like the modern day feels like a flashback,
Yeah,
like old
yeah,
Tribe Called
yeah.
Quest, or like, Eric B. and
Hmm.
Rakim, you know, Big Daddy Kane, like all that old hip hop, like those like Czarface and all those like groups, like that's what I'm digging.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how often do you throw that on?
Um, it's in my like mood rotation, so it depends on my mood. I'll be like, I'm gonna go on a hip hop run, or I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go on like a Brit pop or a shoegaze or whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah.
right now what am I listening to? A lot of 80s pop
Nice,
is
nice.
what's on the it's in the hopper right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I always say, I talk about hardcore and I love hardcore and I love hip hop, but when I'm in my car, I'll listen to hardcore every day, at least like one album, but for the most part, I'm always listening to like just normal music. Like I'm a big
Hmm.
Joe Jackson fan. I'm a
Yeah.
big Elvis Costello fan.
Hmm.
So it's like you kind of have to delve away from like the hardcore and the the hip hop and stuff like that, to just to ground yourself with like I enjoy all types of music, and
Yeah.
even as cringy as it kind of sounds, I like outlaw country, like way back in the day, country music.
Yeah.
You know
No,
what I
that
mean?
makes
Like,
sense.
so
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
can't stand the new stuff because it sounds like pop music to me,
Hmm.
but like new
It's over.
pop music.
It's overproduced.
Yeah, super overproduced. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of my type of thing. I'm not solely hardcore or heavy music. I have to
Hmm.
listen to something else. Um, so my next question: if you've been listening to any new hardcore bands, uh, let me know some bands that you've been listening to. That are
Yeah.
kind of new.
I
None.
haven't. I'm bad. Yeah, I'm bad with new stuff. Yeah.
Now,
So,
now you remember Dave from Harvest?
uh,
The singer Dave from the band
nah,
Harvest.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know him.
yeah. He has a new band called Sunset that's really really good. They put out some stuff a little while back that
Okay.
they're really really good. Yeah, they sound really good. Um, I'll send you a few things. I mean, see if you like it. If you don't, it
Okay.
is what it is. But yeah. I'm just glad to see those guys. And Harvest is kind of playing here and
Yeah,
there
I
too,
think I
like
saw something like that. Yeah, that they
um,
were playing.
which so that being said, my last question is, what is your favorite songs to play live when Dillinger's playing? Like, what songs are you pumped up to play live? Give me like three that you're amped up to put out there.
Ooh. Historically, I don't know. I love all the songs I've played. No, I like playing Sugar Coated Sour, The
Mm.
Running Board. Um, I'll give you another one. Probably Sandbox Magician.
Such a good song. Such a good song.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I yeah,
Somebody said Monticello, which
yeah,
I mentioned earlier. Like that's one of
that's
my favorite songs too.
that's that's the great Andrew Daly is a fantastic human being. Um, yeah, speaking of Andrew with Monticello and um, I forgot what it's like to play those old songs, so I can't really include them because I haven't. Man, once we got like under the running board and calculating, we never played the old songs.
Yeah.
So maybe like that newfound love for them again will come back. So um yeah, so um yeah, maybe yeah. I'm looking forward to playing like the self-titled stuff.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And I also wanted to ask, what is Abe the Cop about? What's that song about?
Abe the Cop.
Yes.
Um just picking yourself up after just getting just life beats you the fuck down.
Yeah.
Whether it's physically, mentally, um, when just life takes its toll on you, just, you know, I want to die just one more time. Like you just don't want to get up,
Yeah.
like it's, but you do.
Yeah.
So it's like the feeling of just I'm fucking down and defeated, but you still, it's a resiliency. Like that song is like a negative song in a way, but it's also positive because you hate it, but you get back up.
Yeah.
So that's that's what Abe the Cop's pretty much about. No one's ever asked me what that's
Nice.
about.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was always wanted to ask you.
yeah. No one's ever asked about. Has nothing to do with the song title too.
Yeah.
So,
So where did you come up with the song title? Just it just was
um,
like randomly popped into your head?
well, Ben kind of let the mystery out. We did an interview with Frank from Metal Injection, and Abe the Cop is he's a character on Days of Our Lives. So
Nice.
so we called it Abe the Cop. Me and Ben used to watch Days of Our Lives after school every day.
Nice. um,
Like we would come home from school, watch Days of Our Lives, and then we would go skateboarding or we would go play music somewhere. So
yeah, yeah,
so
nice.
it was a heavy part of our of our daily rotation. So we literally named one of our songs after a Days of Our Lives character.
Oh, it's amazing. That's amazing. And finally, do you have anything else coming up that people should know about? I know you and Ben are. You mentioned working on something. I don't know when that would come into fruition for you guys. But is there any future plans like that you could, you know, give forth to people that are wondering what's going on in your future?
My future, we're gonna wrap up these shows and then work on the new project with Ben and hopefully get that out sooner than later. I mean, this project has been a long time coming with me and
Yeah,
him. You're talking 10, 15 years we've been trying to do something.
yeah,
Um, but hopefully something in 2025 at some point.
yeah.
So there's stuff that's already like mapped out and
Hmm.
completed, but yeah, nothing, nothing to report
Yeah. Now,
other than this.
the trying to tweak something out of you, like, is it in the same vein as Dillinger, or are we looking at something different sounding genre wise?
Uh, yes, to the first question. So yes, it's going to be on the same vein of Dillinger. So,
Nice.
but it's not going to be the Dillinger Escape Plan.
Perfect. Nice.
It's
Nice.
going to
And
be all new, brand new. So,
yeah. And with other, like, do you have the other band members already set? Is that a set thing too?
pretty
Kind of.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You're
Perfect.
like kinda. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I can't.
Nice.
I don't want to talk about it too much.
Yeah,
Not that
no,
it's
I know. I had to.
not. No, it's you can ask, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I don't like I can't really go into full detail, but
Yeah, exactly.
it's
No.
nothing surprising. But to me, it is. But
Yeah.
um, no, it's going to be surprising.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear it. I mean, I'm super excited to hear it,
Yeah,
and
me too, man. I am too. Thank you.
and
I can't wait.
congratulations. I mean, especially since it's been you're talking 10 years that it's been,
Yeah, yeah.
talked about
It's
that.
just yeah, life is busy, and now we finally found time. So it might have come out earlier if we weren't doing these shows. So
Yeah. Nice. You saw that comment.
yeah,
He's not
Dave
telling anybody, so
Dave Whitty plays in bands with everyone.
yes, true.
I love
True.
that. I love
Uh,
that guy.
well, I want to thank you again for coming on.
Yeah,
I don't want to
thank you
waste
too.
any more of your time,
You're
but
welcome.
like, thank you so much. Like, take two. I was very sad that it didn't get
Yeah,
um, saved the last time, and I'm just appreciative that you wanted to run it back with me. It's been a long time since I seen your face,
yeah, a
and like
long
I said,
time. Yeah.
you look more handsome
Uh,
than you ever have.
thank you. Yeah, it's good to see you, man. And don't forget to hit save record
I mean,
when we turn.
yes, I will, and I'll send you that trailer and
Okay, sounds good.
that link too. Are you on Spotify?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll send you. Talking about hip hop, I do like a monthly mixtape, and it's all new stuff, but it sounds like the old stuff that you might be into. So I'll send
Okay.
you that link too.
All right. Yeah, I'm on the same username as my Instagram
Oh,
for
perfect,
Spotify.
perfect.
So now everybody can haunt me if you want.
Well, congratulations on the show, and
Thank you. Thank you.
you know it's going to be unbelievable, and I'm glad this news came out. And let's stay in touch, and
For sure.
I'll send you some stuff, and have a great rest of
All
your
right.
day.
You
All
too.
right,
Have a good one. Have a
take
good
it
one.
easy.